Is everyone ready? Okay, very good, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Virginia City Council Chambers. This is a regularly scheduled City Council meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. Today's date is Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. The time is 5:30 p.m. We have some presenters and interested parties in the audience today, and we'll be discussing them as we move forward with this agenda. So Pam, would you please take a roll call?
Baraboo.
Present.
Friedlieb.
Here.
Paulson.
Present.
Beyondich.
Present.
Johnson.
Here.
Baranzelli. And Cuffey.
President, would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to everyone who's in the audience this evening and those who are listening at home. We'll move to item 4, which is the public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone in the public who is in attendance today that'd like to come up and address the council this evening on any subject they deem appropriate and deem what they'd like to say. So is there anybody at this time who would like to come forward and speak? Seeing none, we'll move to item 5, which is the consent agenda. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a councilor or a citizen of the City of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval and the corrections of the minutes of the regular meeting that was held on May 10th, 2022. Item 5.2 is the adoption of Finance Resolution number 22-003, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3 is approve pay estimate number 1 to Lency Enterprises for the police garage repair project in the amount of $27,170. Item 5.4 is to approve the travel request for Pamela Bean, our city clerk, to attend the Advanced Academy in New Ulm, Minnesota, September 15th and 16th, 2022, at a cost of $813.79. Item 5.5 is to approve the transient merchant's license for Virginia Hightower doing business as TNT Fireworks from June 20th, 2022 to July 7th, 2022. And the amended additions to the consent agenda was item 5.6, which is approve the transient merchant license for Berry Lane doing business as Street Tacos and Eats. And item 5.7, approve the sale of wine and strong beer license for the Laurentian Arts and Cultural Alliance doing business as the Lyric Center for the Arts, contingent upon submitting all required paperwork. These are the consent agenda items before the council today. Looking for council action.
I'll move the consent agenda.
Councilor Paulson moves to approve the consent agenda. Is there support?
For question.
Support by Councilor Johnson for a question. Further discussion, Councilor Johnson.
Is number 22003 the correct number? 3 seems like a low number to be in.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Johnson. Item 5.2, the finance resolution, what is that? 22010? Okay, we'll make a correction to the minutes of 5.2, an adoption of finance resolution number 22-010, the schedule of bills, correct? Okay, does that answer your question, Councilor Johnson? Thank you. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, okay, item number 6, appearances. Again, we have no one scheduled to appear this evening. Once again, this is an opportunity for anyone from the audience that likes to come and speak before the council. Welcome to do so at this time. Seeing no one, we'll move to item 7, which is unfinished business. Item 7.1, the property at 410 5th Street South. Mr. and Mrs. Kingsley are in the audience, one of the concerned neighbors, of many concerned neighbors with respect to this property. And I'm going to ask our city attorney, Brian Lindsay, do we have any updates or any other information with respect to this property as any changes from the last, as we move forward?
Thank you, Mayor. Since the last committee of the whole meeting, there's been no update after I provided the information requested by Mr. Toman's attorney.
And we're continuing to move on the path of the motions that we made and the requirements that we've given to Mr. Tolman, the property owner.
That is correct. We're still during the waiting period, but that time does continue to run.
Okay, thank you. Any councilor have any questions or comments about this? Mr. and Mrs. Kingsley, any questions about it or any comments that you'd like to address the council for this evening? Thank you. Please turn on the mic to the green and please once again announce your name and thank you and welcome to the council.
Hi, I'm Bruce Kingsley. I guess I was curious as to what clarifications Mr. Tolman needed regarding what was to be done to the property, or his attorney, I should say.
Thank you, Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Lindsay.
The request was for the 2 inspection reports that had been prepared. So he wanted, instead of a summary, he wanted the actual reports, which were the letters that were received and put in the council information.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kingsley. Okay, thank you. Move on to 7.2, the clinic lease. I know that we are in the process of scheduling a meeting with Essentia to discuss this. I believe our city administrator, Britt C. Binnis, has been working with Sam Stone and the East District management team to come here and start talking about the lease, as well as their plans for any changes that may be forthcoming with respect to the hospital and making some adjustments to a construction environment there. So we're looking at planning to meet soon. We're waiting for a response back from Mr. Stone and trying to coordinate the schedules in order to talk about this subject. Does any councilor have any questions, comments with respect to the clinic lease at this point? Thank you. Seeing none, we'll move on to the 7.3, which is the rental code ordinance. And once again, I know we're moving forward with that, and I would like to defer any additional information updates from our planning director, Mr. John Sullivan. John?
Thank you, Mayor. At 5:30 on Thursday this week, we will be meeting at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center in the first of 3 public hearings to discuss the rental code ordinance. And the draft has been available. We've posted it in the newspaper. We've posted it here. We've discussed it at the Planning Commission a number of different times in public forums as well, and be looking tomorrow for a memo. I have a memo that Britt is editing that I did for you and some background information to accompany the rental code ordinance. So be looking for that before the Thursday night meeting. And that first public hearing, anybody can come. It's just kind of geared for anybody that's interested. I know we have a series of 3. One's for anybody that's interested. One's specifically targeted a little bit more towards landlords, and the other one's a little bit specifically tied towards tenants. But we're pretty much going to have the same show, if you will, every time to keep it consistent. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any additional comments from the council? Any questions or comments from the audience? Thank you, John. Okay, we'll move to item 7.4 is the golf course lease. And Brian?
Thank you, Mayor. Last Friday, May 20th, we did receive as an update a counteroffer from the Kerfelds on behalf of the Northern Divide. And essentially, the content of the change or the counteroffer, and Mr. Hahn can correct me if I misspeak, it amended, or it was an offer to set the rent at $3,250 for the entire $3,200 to run the entire 3-year term of the lease. So the changes were 2. Number 1, that it adjusted that lease amount, and number 2, the counteroffer eliminated the 2% escalator in years 2 and 3.
Okay, thank you. Council? Any questions or comments at this point? Councilor Baraboo?
Yeah, Mayor, I think we've been messing around with this for months now. It's time to move forward with this. I think it's a reasonable offer, and what I read of it, when we received it, I don't have an issue, even though we're not getting the $3,700 that we were looking for. I think it's time to move forward, so we continue with the restaurant at the golf course and continue operation, because it's one of the few good restaurants in Virginia that has the good amenities and the food variations that are first class. So I'm going to make a motion that we accept a new lease agreement that has been worked on by our council and Mr. Honkinen.
Okay, thank you. And I would ask, Counselor Bearable, could you just hold that motion in abeyance?
Yeah, I can do that.
For a moment?
Yeah, I can do that.
So we can discuss the procedural aspects of the action that we've taken previously, and whether or not that we need to amend a motion or amend some other action that we took for the council with respect to the final offer motion that was made, I think, a while back. So,
Well, to
Brian?
make it easier, I'll just pull it right now, so, and then I'll go back and restate it, okay?
Okay, thank you. So just looking for some point of order, protocol, and what's the proper process and procedure to move forward. And we did take a final stance at that being the final offer. Now there's a counter offer from Mr. and Mrs. Kerfeld and their attorney with respect to this. So how can we act on this, and what's the proper procedure and process moving forward, Brian?
Mayor. So at the last meeting, the motion that was taken, that was moved forward, was phrased as a final offer. That being said, the city still has it still has the ability to take one of several actions. Number one, you could reject the counteroffer and indicate simply that the city had made a final offer. That being said, the council does have the ability to basically rescind or remove that final offer language and accept the counteroffer that's been made. And the third option is the city could make a counter to the counteroffer if the city wishes to continue with the negotiations. So while the council phrased the action, the last action as the final offer, nothing prevents the city from taking action on the counteroffer or even creating another position.
Thank you, Brian. That clarifies things for the three options in the process moving forward. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. Could we get our final offer was what dollar value in rent and what escalator per year?
Brian?
The final offer was, the rent was set beginning in the month of May of 2022. It would be $37.50. That rental amount would continue on until September 30th of 2023, and then commencing October 1st, there would be a 2% escalator in year 2023 and a 2% escalator in October of 2024.
Okay, and with the counter offer, it is being reduced to $3,200 a month with no escalator.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. Any other councilor? Okay, so we have those one of three options, and so we should, so a proper process is, if a motion isn't made here, we could direct the negotiations to continue, or we can accept the offer, the counteroffer, or we just stand based on our last action, and then whatever the process that's moving forward continues to move forward based on our action. Is that correct? All right, thank you. Okay, does any councilor have any questions, comments, or motions they'd like to make with respect to this process here? Councilor Bearable, did you have something?
I have. I'm not going to make the motion just yet, but I'm going to put in a couple of issues here. I don't like what's happening nationwide and in our area with inflation, okay, number one, okay? A restaurant right now cannot afford escalator clauses and stuff with all the inflation, with all the food they have to buy and everything, without pricing themselves out of the market for their food sales, because it'll get too expensive for individuals to go there and enjoy a meal with their family. So right now, if you take a look where the escalators are going with inflation, food is anywhere from 15 to 20-some percent nationwide right now, escalators in cost of buying your product, and that's on a wholesale basis. That's not on the actual retail basis. So I'm going to go back to my original motion in a little bit here, but I just want that brought forward that I don't think we need right now, because I don't see inflation going away for at least a couple more years at minimum, the way things are going, unless stuff has changed at the federal level. That's my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. I have one more question for Mr. Lindsay, and then move on to some questions or comments from legal representation for the Northern Divide. So if no action is taken at this council meeting, what is the process?
So if no action is taken and we are not able to come to an agreement tonight, technically the current legal status is this: the council did issue a notice prior to the conclusion, that previous lease terming out, that we were not going to be renewing the lease. And so technically at this point, that notice of non-renewal would be the last formal action taken on the lease that affected its validity. And so theoretically, it may have become ineffective as of May 1st.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Mr. Honkonen, would you please, just for the record, turn the green light on, give us your name and the purpose of being here tonight, and then welcome to the council meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Eric Honkonen, and I represent Northern Divide. Ms. Kerfeld is here tonight, and I would like to, first of all, thank the council. I think that we are coming very close to an agreement on this. I was happy to hear that. I think that we have come to a conclusion or close to an agreement on everything, and it's really just coming down to the one material term of the price now. I think that the counteroffer that was sent over was just changed to update the lease beginning on June 1st, so that it wasn't going back from May. And, I just think that ultimately, at the end of the day, we have an ability to come to an agreement. I should also note for the council that I do have written settlement authority from my clients to bind them. So if we have, if that helps the council, we are able to come to an agreement tonight if you need to, and I have the authority to enter on behalf of my client. But also say that I think that there's a good opportunity to restore the relationship here, because I think that landlord-tenant relationship has been strained a little bit in the past. I think that that's important to try to continue. I think that the city would want to have that for any of its other tenants, and obviously it's in everybody's interest. I think that there's a conclusion to this. I would also note with regard to the escalator issue that if there was a 2% increase year on year from the previous lease to what it is now, from $3,000 to where I think it ended up being about $31.87 a month in rent, that would have been every 2 years. Here, we're exceeding that amount in our counteroffer, and that you're always able to come back at the end of the term and be able to renegotiate a lease in terms of the amount, so that you can then adjust for it over that period of time. It also provides stability, and one of the things that my client said is that it would be very difficult for them, or more difficult going in from the off season, to have an increase in their rent, starting in October. So that was one of the things that they noted to me. This gives them some stability. I think my clients have gone above and beyond to do every single thing that the city has asked them to do. They are having everything auto-debited, and they've, I think, met pretty much every request that the city has had of them, and they've operated in good faith. They've paid a lot of money in attorney's fees, try to come to a resolution on this, and I think that they've always tried to do their best and show good faith. Would note that their counteroffer, I think, is a fair and reasonable counteroffer. It can't be rejected as unreasonable. You might not agree, but at the very least, it's a reasonable counteroffer. And we're just trying to bring the matter to conclusion. Hope that we're able to do that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Honkonen. Any other comments from the council? Any action? Any comments? Asking once? Asking twice?
Mayor, I'm going to go back to my original
Counselor
motion.
Bearable?
I'm going to go back to my original motion on this. I think it's high time we just settle this, and we don't need to keep on working at this and working at it and come to no conclusion and no benefit to anybody, not even the council. So, Brian, the proper way for me to do this, we don't need to rescind anything, correct, at this point? So I'm going to make a motion that we accept the contract that has been worked out between our city attorney and the Kerfield's Northern Divide attorney, and accept the new tentative lease with a $3,200 monthly rental fee that is now being taken out in an auto debit. So that's my motion.
A motion by Counselor Bearable. Did you get that motion, Pam? Thank you. Is there support for that motion? Support by Counselor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Johnson?
Was the new lease a part of the packet for today's meeting?
Pam?
Mayor, no, I sent that out last Friday, about 3:15, when Mr. Honkonen dropped it off.
So the public has not had an opportunity to view the current lease then also, correct? Because it was just sent to counselors?
Correct.
Okay. I want to point out one of the things that was in Mr. Honkonen's letter. This is directly from his letter. As the monthly amount, I had previously indicated to you that Perkins had a $1 million mortgage with an approximately monthly payment of $3,700. There, that location far exceeds the current location in terms of daily traffic. Here, the lease space would be destination-only space in the winter months. I would say you're correct, and I would also add that Perkins also has to pay utilities, and that is not something, that is something that is included in our request. I'm not going to agree to anything without an escalator. There has to be something that we allow to make forward motion. There hasn't been any rent increase in the current lease for the last, whatever we're going on, 3-4 years, whatever it is. There needs to be some planned, that's the word you keep using. Well, my clients need to be able to plan. An escalator is very plannable. 2% added on, 2% added on. It's a minute thing, but again, I still feel like that this has been, well, we're going to get to a point where they just have to agree because they want to be done, and I'm not. We need to indicate that the city also has inflation. The taxpayers will also have higher costs in that building in the next 3 years. And we need to protect the taxpayers, and we need to make sure our taxpayers are not funding a private business. Otherwise, we are going to get to the point where I would think that other businesses are going to come and ask for help paying their utilities or paying or everybody's going to want to rent from the city because they can get a good deal. And that's one of the things that I'd like to see the city get out of is rental, which we're working on. Or at least I'm working on. So I will not be supporting this, especially because the lease hasn't been out for the public to view as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Johnson. Counselor Paulson?
Thank you, Mayor. So the way I'm reading this commercial lease that was emailed by Pam from Mr. Honkonen is that it is for the duration of, it's 16 months? No, until September of 2023, is that correct?
Have an initial term that would shift the term date to the fall. Overall, it would be a little over.
So this is a 3-year contract, or is it, Eric, could you explain it to me? Is it starting from, instead of doing the 1 year, we extended it to September, and then we were going to renew each year. So is this technically one leg or the first leg of the 3-year contract?
So what I think just so that you understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, we made the first term to be 15 months. I mean, it goes to September 30th, 2023, for the purpose of, that was a concession to the city that my client made, and for the purpose of having that afterwards. And then, so that first term is like 16 months, and then thereafter, it would be every year then, it would be renewed if there were no default, if my clients were not in default with the lease.
By the end of September. So does this contract include all 3 of those years, or is it just for that first initial 15 months, 14 months? I'm sorry that I can't add 15 months. Because I'm not reading that in here.
No, that's okay. So in paragraph 3, it says the term shall be 1 year and 3 months until October 1st, 2023, after which time the lease will renew 1 year upon 1 year terms on an annual basis for up to 2 years, such extensions provided that there are no existing defaults at the close of the prior lease period.
So it would be the renewal of this exact counteroffer lease that we are being asked to accept, and not, because I hear what the discussion is regarding an escalator, but what you had kind of just said earlier is that it could be revisited should.
It would be revisited at the end of the lease, so you would have 3 years and then it gets revisited,
Okay,
just
so
like we did now.
wouldn't be revisiting it. It would be after the 3 years.
Right.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Paulson. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Beyondich.
Thank you. I believe at one of our meetings, we discussed how we arrived at the cost for the lease. And I'm wondering if we could get a breakdown of what that costs for the city to have that running, what it costs per month.
Sherry?
Yes, Mayor, Council, sure. But I won't be able to do it tonight. I would have to get it out to you tomorrow.
And I think it would, for the public, to maybe be informed on some of this, of what all this involves. I know I've been approached a few times on this. So I would like to revisit the numbers again and make it transparent as to how we came up with the number that we did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Beyondich. There is a motion on the floor to accept the counteroffer that was presented by the Kerfeld and their representative. The motion was made by Counselor Bearboot and supported by Counselor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please, Pam.
Beyondich. Johnson.
No.
Kieranzelli. Cuffey.
Yes.
Baraboo.
Yes.
Friedlieb.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-2. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is under item 8, discussion items. Item 8.1 is approve the separation agreement with police officer Jason Picard, and looking for council action based on staff's recommendation.
I'll move the separation agreement as suggested by staff.
Councilor Johnson moves to approve the separation agreement between the city and police officer Jason Picard. Is there support?
Oh,
Support by Councilor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion?
just one, Mayor.
Councilor Baraboo.
Yeah, Brian, from looking at this with the attorney that's been working on this with us, I don't see any issues. All of his rights, all of his dollars that he has coming will be included in the separation, from what I can read. Is that correct?
Mr. Lindsay?
Thank you. That is correct. This, the document here, I've reviewed it, but it's been prepared by a specialist in labor law. So it's there is no risk to the city, and everybody's will receive what the agreement is.
Thank you, Councilor Bearable. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8.2, adopt a resolution scheduling a public hearing for the Chisholm Healthcare Center. And in order to get some clarification about how this works, we've done this in the past with other cities. It doesn't cost the city of Virginia any money, but I'll hold any additional explanation. We have with us Mia Thibodeau from Freiberger, Buchanan, Smith, and Frederick, who to give us a little explanation on why we're doing this and the purpose of it. And it is, I think, just to schedule a public hearing on their behalf. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Mia Thibodeau, and thank you for having me tonight, Mayor, Council.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm here, as you all know, I've acted as bond counsel for the city on other occasions, and we also act as bond counsel for other municipalities and for other projects that are happening across the region and the state. One of those projects relates to the Chisholm Health Center, also known as Heritage Manor in Chisholm, which is an affiliate of St. Francis Health Systems of Morris, who have skilled nursing care facilities around the state. They, as you may know, are putting on an addition to their facility in Chisholm. It's going to be a nice addition to that facility. And they desire to finance that addition and refund some outstanding obligations with tax-exempt bonds. The borrower is asking that the city act as a conduit issuer, and I did provide a brief summary for you which describes the conduit process. I know it's been a while since the city has acted in a conduit capacity, but I think the main point that you want to note, obviously, is that the city has no responsibility with respect to payment of such obligations. And in fact, the borrower, in this case, Chisholm Health Center, indemnifies the city with respect to any costs related to the obligations. You may know that the borrower first approached the city of Chisholm, which would make sense because the facility is in Chisholm. However, the city of Chisholm indicated that they may issue obligations later this calendar year and wanted to preserve some of their ability to issue obligations on a bank qualified basis. And the city of Virginia has already issued obligations using the majority of their BQ capacity this year, so that is not a concern for the city, which is why we're now here before you. Another reason that we're here is that you're an adjacent municipality to the facility, and the facility is available to your residents as a skilled nursing care facility. And so the request tonight is to schedule a public hearing on the issuance of revenue obligations in a conduit capacity by the city. The city of Chisholm would also need to consent to the issuance of those obligations as the host municipality. And what else can I tell you? The project, the estimated issuance would be $17 million. $2.5 million of that is to refund some existing obligations. And I am happy to answer questions.
Yeah, thank you. And I did discuss this with our city administrator yesterday, and some of the other reasons for that is there was a concern on the behalf of the Chisholm City Council that by doing so, taking this action to actually issue the bonds, not to schedule the public hearing, which would trigger that bond issue later on down the road, not by us, but by the city of Chisholm. There was a fear that this may affect their bond debt, which apparently it does not, and in addition, and they were fearful that any bond that needs to be issued on behalf of their fire hall may be in jeopardy as a result of that. We find that that's not the case. That's based upon what my conversation with our city administrator is, and is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate. So if I'm understanding you, I just will summarize. It doesn't affect your debt limit, and it does not affect your bond rating.
And it doesn't affect theirs either.
It would not.
No.
And their concern, as I mentioned earlier, you have the ability to issue, municipalities have the ability to issue bonds on a bank qualified basis, which makes bonds more marketable. And the city of Virginia has already utilized your BQ obligations for the year, the majority of that. The city of Chisholm has not, and they are uncertain at this point whether they're going to be issuing obligations, but they wanted to preserve the ability to do so, is my understanding.
Thank you. So the action that we're taking this evening is to simply take action, if we do, to schedule a public hearing with respect to this, right?
Correct. The resolution before the council is simply to call for the public hearing. The public hearing would then occur at your meeting or prior to your meeting on June 14. And on that date, we would be back in front of you with a resolution authorizing the issuance of those obligations.
And the issuance of those obligations are the responsibility of the city of Chisholm, is that correct?
The city of Virginia would be the issuer of the obligations. The city of Chisholm would need to approve consent to the issuance by the city of Virginia as the host municipality where the project is located. So the city, what we're asking is that the city issue the obligations. And does that answer your question?
It does, with no liability to the city of Virginia in any
Correct.
way, shape, or form. Thank you very much, Mia.
Yep.
Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, and thank you for the explanation in the email.
Yeah.
I do have a question then. So we're being asked to be the conduit for this public hearing. And who would be attending the public hearing since it's affecting residents and constituents in Chisholm? What would the residents or constituents in Virginia have to say about a public hearing for issuance of bonds in another municipality?
Well,
It's a legal process that has to happen, I understand that, but I'm a little confused as to who you'd be advertising to attend this public hearing.
so it would be residents of the city of Virginia, and there will also be a public hearing in the city of Chisholm.
So Chisholm would also have to have this public hearing as well?
They have a public hearing as the municipality in which the facilities are located.
Okay. And then the other question that I had is, will there be any type of administrative work that would need to be done on behalf of our staff that would take up some time or some financial obligation? Is there anything that our staff would have to be doing in order to be this conduit?
Yes, so there will be some administrative matters, including with a typical bond issuance, there's a lot of documentation, and so there will be documents that need to be signed and processed. However, the loan agreement between the city and the borrower provides that they will pay any and all costs related to the issuance of the
The
obligations.
city of Virginia would be reimbursed for anything that we would be doing, conducting administratively to facilitate the conduit of the issuance of the bonds?
Yes.
Okay.
And typically, there's not much ongoing administration after the bonds are issued. The bonds would be a note on your audit, and the only thing that would likely happen is each year you'll need what the balance of those obligations are. And usually, someone like Sherry would just email me and say, I need this for the audit. Please send it along.
Okay, and then my last question is, you had mentioned that it's been a long time since we had done this. I haven't been here that long, but what would be the other project that we've done that you can recall that would be similar to this?
I think there was an issuance related to the clinic or the hospital, but it was before my time, so I have no specific knowledge of it.
Okay, and that was the HRA, that was a clinic with the HRA, but it existed in the city limits. So this is a little different, and I don't know if we've ever done it for a different municipality, but I guess I appreciate you answering those questions. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. Before we go to Councilor Baraboo, then over to Councilor Johnson, I'll ask Sherry, what are your thoughts with respect to this? I know you've had some significant discussion about this moving forward, and so our concern is, the city of Virginia being involved in this. Can you give us a little information and your perspective and your recommendation moving forward before we go to the other two councilors?
Mayor?
Yes,
Council?
Sherry?
I do not see a problem with this. I worked closely with Maya and Freiberger and Buchanan before with our own bonds. It's pretty smooth.
So you had no issue with us assisting in this matter?
No.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Bearable?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions to ask you. When they do this and we become basically the pass-through, correct, Sherry, on this, whose bond rating? Are they using ours or are they using Chisholm's bond rating on this? Because our bond rating is better than Chisholm's, I believe. And also, we have a deal with the state, and I don't know whether it's gone through the legislature because they just screwed up everything on their final deal. We're looking to increase our bond capacity because we're above it. Is that going to affect our bond capacity at all, this particular thing? Because we're asking for an excess of where we're sitting, because we've used up basically our bond capacity in Virginia. Is that going to affect us any?
Yeah, I'll take your last question first.
Okay.
No, this bond issuance would not affect your debt. Your debt capacity would not affect that. And I am aware that the city has made a specific request for additional capacity related to the public safety facility. I'm aware of that, and that would not be affected by this.
Wouldn't, okay.
Your first question related to rating, the rating, if they get a rating, which you don't always have to have a rating when you issue bonds, would be based on actually the facilities of Chisholm Health Center. It wouldn't be a rating with respect to the municipality.
Why not? We've gone through these things before, and we've still had to go, when we do stuff with private sector, there's been a couple times we've had to go through a re-look between either Moody's or S&P on stuff. So why doesn't the city of Chisholm have to go if they're going to be eventually the, how do I want to say it? The capacity holder for whatever their bond rating is.
They may seek, there's two types of bonds that are issued. There's private placement bonds, which is when a single bank buys your bond, and then there's publicly offered bonds. And that, when there's publicly offered bonds, which are actually what these are going to be, that's when you typically would get a rating, more typically. And Chisholm, in this case, for this particular project, isn't going to act as an issuer, so they would not get a bond rating for this project. Chisholm may seek a bond rating if it issues publicly offered obligations later on down the road for a different project.
So if the nursing home or whatever it's called over there goes through, they don't even have to go through a bond rating, is that what you're telling me?
They wouldn't necessarily have to get rated, no, to sell bonds.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Bearable. Counselor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is a good opportunity for us to demonstrate leadership in the community, and I will move the resolution scheduling the public hearing for the refinancing projects for Chisholm Healthcare Center.
I moved to approve the request to hold a public hearing by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? Support by Counselor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? I have one question. Do we set the time and date for the public hearing, or does that, we do that?
Yes, and there is a proposed date and time in
I see that in there, so we're going to be doing that. So the motion on the floor is to move this forward. So is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, very much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, move to item number 8.3, which is adopt the resolution to approve the hiring of a part-time library cook. This is a carryover that was brought forth for approval from our committee of the whole meeting.
So moved.
Counselor Johnson moves to approve. Is there support? Support by Counselor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8.4 is adopt a resolution to approve the hiring of a library intern, also carried over for approval from the committee of the whole meeting.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson and supported by Counselor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move to item 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, the committee of the whole meeting that was held on February 1st, 2022. Item 9.1A was moved and supported to adopt a resolution from the committee of the whole meeting to receive the feasibility report and set a public hearing on June 20th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center for the local improvement projects.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson,
I'll support, Mayor.
supported by Counselor Bearable. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Item 9.1B, discussing at the committee of the whole, allowing staff to research the area churches to determine how many physically challenged or handicapped spots have been approved and submit that to Street and Alley for recommendation on the current request that was made for a special handicap parking. So that was moved from the committee of the whole meeting.
I'll move that.
Moved by Counselor Johnson and supported by
I'll support, Mayor.
Counselor Bearable. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Item 9.1C, adopt a resolution approving the quote from UHL for the City Hall control upgrades in the amount of $133,626. This was recommended for approval by staff and moved from the committee of the whole meeting for action tonight.
Also move that,
Support.
Mayor.
Council Bearable moves to approve, supported by Counselor Johnson. Further discussion, Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to clarify one more time, if I may, where these funds are coming out of. Sherry?
As mentioned at the committee of the whole, Councilor Paulson, we set aside $100,000 already in the budget for the city hall improvements. That leaves a $40,000, which we are going to use out of the economic development fund that is in the general fund.
Okay. I couldn't remember, so thank you
That's
for
okay.
refreshing my memory. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Counselor Paulson. Thank you, Sherry. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Freely?
My understanding is that this change then is going to be accommodating to both currently the steam system and then transferring to the gas system. So it's not just a Band-Aid fix. It'll carry us through upon the transition, correct?
Yes, sir, correct. Thank you, Counselor Freely. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Item 9.1D, approve the proposed private development agreement with Virginia Hospitality LLC.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson, supported by Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? This is for the hotel project. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. There was discussion about a petty cash drawer for the office at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. It was moved to approve a $50 petty cash drawer in the office at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson, supported by Counselor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9.1F, approve the purchase of a walk-behind floor scrubber in the amount of $15,412.68 and an eye-mop scrubber in the amount of $5,136.98 from Delco Enterprises Incorporated, which the walk-behind floor scrubber will take some time to get, may not get it till the end of the year, but the eye-mop scrubber is more readily available with an estimated delivery date between 6 and 8 weeks. It was moved and supported at committee level to recommend the purchase of these.
Also move.
Moved to approve by Counselor Freely and supported by Counselor Bearable. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Freely, and then to Counselor Paulson.
Quick reminder that this was capital outlay budgeted money for '23?
It's going to be in '23, yes. But Brian promises me that he's going to raise the events because we got Vanessa coming on board June 1st.
And I think we'll be looking at a potential equipment bond for in 2023. The other has currently expired, so it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Paulson.
Thank you. That was part of my question. So we're going to basically add this to the capital wish list under the Park and Rec Director, or Park and Rec Department for the Iron Trail Motors Event Center.
Correct, for 2023, because we're probably going to not get it for another 6 months.
Okay.
So we're anticipating 2023.
So I just want to clarify, because I was opposed to putting this under
A
capital
bond,
bond outlay because of the amount we're dealing with, so I just want to confirm that.
combination.
So Brian's just going to have to book some more events. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Paulson. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9.1G, there was discussion about the fire chief's job description, and it was moved at a committee level to set a special personnel committee whole meeting to further review and discuss and recommend any changes, additions, or deletions from the fire chief's job description. It has included the assistant fire chief as well and staff with respect to this. And so looking for a motion to move it to a special personnel committee, the whole meeting, which will be discussed with other personnel matters that could be pending.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Freely, been supported by
I'll support for discussion.
Councilor Paulson for discussion, further discussion. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you. Pam, had you set a meeting date? I thought I saw a notification for that
Yes, June 1st at 9 a.m.
first, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
time?
We'll add that to the minutes tonight. The Personnel Committee, the whole meeting has been scheduled to discuss the fire chief's job description for June 1st at 9 a.m. And June 1st is on a Wednesday, June 1st at 9 a.m. Thank you. So it has been moved and supported, has it been already? Yes. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. And the resolution is in your packet to adopt the resolution to hire 4 student labor positions.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson, supported by Counselor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. 9.1I, direct staff to research the modification to Chapter 3 of the city charter regarding the review of appointments to city commissions and to come back with a recommendation.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? Support by Counselor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Item 9.1I, J, excuse me. Adopt the resolution regarding the LGA formula and support the appropriate increases. Move to approve by Counselor Freely. Is there support?
I'll support, Mayor.
Support by Counselor Bearable. Is there any further discussion?
Just one point of discussion.
This is our, go ahead.
Yeah, that you'll probably bring up anyway, that with what happened at the House and the Senate where they canned the rest of the year, and this would be probably in a special session, correct, Mayor? That's the way things are going right now. It looks like they're going to call a special session, from what I'm reading.
The governor's indicated he would like to call a special session, hasn't yet done so, but in order to get all the business of the legislature done, he would likely do so, and part of that would be the tax appropriation bill, which we have some issues in, as well as the LGA formula kind of falls into that category as well, and appropriations. And one of the reasons is that we want to make sure that our LGA stays the way it is, and the increases that are being recommended move forward. Was there a motion to say? It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries. 9.1K, approve the request from Dream Machines to hold a Fuzzy Dice Cruise Night on Friday and Saturday, August 19th and 20th, 2022. Counselor Bronzelli?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm excited about this. It's been 2 years since they've had a car show for the downtown. Before this happened, I think we went to 24 years as a car show downtown.
And you're making a motion to approve that?
Yes, I support that.
Okay, Counselor.
Have the first Saturday morning cruise. No, Friday night is the cruise night.
Right, Friday night and Saturday, 19th and 20th of 2022.
And they park on Main Street on Saturday, car show.
Yeah, correct. And there was a letter in the packet about requesting the city services and in-kind services we've always given that period of time, and there's been no change in that request. So you're making a motion to adopt the resolution to approve, or I'm not to adopt the resolution, but to approve the request from the Dream Machines to hold its Fuzzy Dice Cruise Night. Is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Item 9.1L was a motion to receive and file a letter from AFSCME and continue moving forward with the lead recreation job description.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support, Mayor.
Support by Counselor Baraboo. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Item 9.1M, which is the final item under 9.1, is to adopt a resolution for the purchase agreement for the property offer for parcel in the Public Safety Development Area, which is located at 114 8th Street South in Virginia, Minnesota. And if there's any questions we'll have under discussion, we get a clarification from John Sullivan. So looking for a motion.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Freely. Is there support? Support by Counselor Barnzelli. Further discussion? Good to go, John?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. We'll move to item 10. Brian, did you have anything you wanted to bring up? Oh, I'm sorry, what's that? Departmental reports, okay. We'll go to Commission Liaison reports first, item number 10. Does any commissioner have liaison? I believe that's Councilor Bierber has one. He did give you a handout here before us regarding the future of the STEAM Corps based on the public utilities meeting yesterday. Councilor Bierber.
Yeah, that's just part of it. That was a last-minute handout by the utilities, but I have the actual utility meeting notes and stuff from that. They had an appearance from Devin Siegler. He was a young man that was here on our audit. Their 2021 audit report has been approved by the Public Utilities Commission, so Sherry, you'll be happy. You'll be getting that on time for the second year in a row finally. So they took care of our requests that we've made of them. They had one monthly injury report. It was an eye injury, but there was no lost time. It's just somebody got something in their eye. The 3rd Street North water project, bids are being advertised for opening on June 21st. They had the full run-through with the auditor. That was part of their new business. The core steam district discussions were had, and there's part of that is what Larry was talking about. I handed out today, the future of the steam corps for Virginia Public Utilities. None of this has been acted upon. This is just a synopsis of where they're going in the future with steam. that new boiler that they put in, that what they call a pony boiler, that small one, it's working actually really, really well. It's putting out 17,000 to 30,000 pounds of pressure and stuff. And they found that it has an added value, that it doesn't have to keep that constant. It can go up and down, so it's saving them money for operation when they need steam in the core area right now. So that is good news for that boiler, and it's working really, really well. The new substation for the new public safety area was supposed to be activated and up and ready to roll today. And I believe that's happened. That's what they told us would happen at the meeting. So that's a good sign for the new public safety area where that new substation is going to be put in. So other than that, they're looking forward to the feasibility reports on the street work that we have coming for 23, 24. We'll be putting that together and finishing up that to come. I believe it's in June. We'll have meetings on that at the ITMEC, or the Iron Trail Motors Entertainment Center. So that's coming up here, and they'll be part of that. That's it for the report.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Brewer. I'd like to, no lights on, okay, I'd like to, seeing as this was information that you disseminated from the Department of Public Utilities with respect to some of what their initial plans are, although they haven't made a final decision on how they're going to move forward, I think it's prudent for the Department of Public Utilities, and I would ask you as our liaison to find a way to disseminate this information to the general public, either through the utility bills and or adding it to some kind of a publication to let the general public know what the plans are, where the downtown core district is, and what they're looking at for the future. I realize this is not a final decision, but it is a plan that they're considering moving forward. It may adjust it as it moves on. I think there's been a lot of questions to a lot of the councilors and myself as well about what are their plans, and so this helps a little bit about that. I'd like to see that publicly disseminated, in a mass media form.
Okay. I'll see that happens somehow. They may not want to do that until we actually officially act on some of these things, Mayor, but we can get them to put a synopsis out of where they're going.
Yeah, I think this right here, which they were provided, would suffice.
Okay, that's fine with me. I'll see that it happens.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Baraboo. Okay, any other commission liaison reports anyone would like to give this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the department head reports. Does any department head have a report? We'll start with Sherry. Do you have anything to disseminate?
No, just waiting for that final audit.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I'll just ask John. John, do you have any updates for us with respect to any of the number of projects that you're working on?
Not at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, department head reports. I believe we have one from our Park and Rec Director, Brian Silber. Brian, once again, welcome to the City Council meeting, and we look forward to your report.
Thank you. Nobody's ever accused me of not liking to speak into the microphone, so I'll take the opportunity to talk to you tonight. Want to let you know at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center this week we have 30 events scheduled throughout the week at the facility. Next week we have 31 different events scheduled at the facility. You'll notice that those numbers are a little bit down from the past several reports that I've given you. That's because this weekend happens to be a holiday and a lot of our ice renters are not renting ice this weekend. We will see those numbers skyrocket here in about 3 weeks once school lets out. Our ice is fully booked throughout the summer, so we will have many, many more ice renters going. In addition to the event center renters that will be going on in the building. Last week, all the fitness equipment was installed in the facility. YMCA has done a soft opening. They will be doing a grand opening next week. So if you haven't already come out to the event center to see the fitness portion of the building, encourage you and the rest of the public to do so. In other news, our parks are gearing up for a very active summer. Our park crew has just about finished recovering from the multitude of trees that fell down, so we're getting back to some of our other projects, which includes getting the fountain up and operational. We did have several busted pipes in the fountain from over the winter, so staff had ordered the replacement pipes that we needed for that. That's not uncommon. Water, when it freezes, tends to expand, and with how the fountain is designed, even when we blow it out in the winter, water still does drain down and can get trapped in there. So this is something that we encounter every year, and we've just have learned to deal with it and adjust and get it fixed so that it is operational throughout the summer. We hope to have it operational here by the end of the week so that the public can enjoy it from Memorial Day to Labor Day, like our goal is every year. Also, while our renters this week in the event center are a little bit down, our renters out in the park system are up as the weather has turned warm. Our park buildings are starting to see a lot more use, and so are the picnic shelters. So we're excited about that. Staff has also begun to mow the grass. We held off as long as we could, participating in No Mow May, but if we waited too much longer, we'd have hay fields throughout our park system. So staff has gotten out there on their mowers. And I believe that about wraps up everything for my impromptu report to you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions? Brian, hang loose for a moment. Thank you. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the update on the YMCA and the equipment. I'm wondering if you could have them, or you could send an email to all of us about the time for the grand opening, and if are they going to do a ribbon cutting? That might be some good kind of a press release going forward for the building and for the YMCA. If the community, for them to know that it's now open and ready to go. That'd be great.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I had the opportunity to go sit and watch them put the fitness equipment together, the pre-core systems and the assault equipment that they have there. It's very impressive. It's a very professional grade system that we have moving forward. I'm looking forward to being one of the users of that facility. So thank you, Brian, for that. It's looking very good. So appreciate that very much. And Jody, our Grabanowski, our library director, I think maybe under council reports, Councilor Johnson might give a little bit more update about the library annual meeting, but it was amazing. And so Jody, you're welcome to the council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually wasn't coming to talk about the annual meeting, but we did. We had a great turnout. We were at the ITMAC last Tuesday. I think we had 36 people, and the book sale gave their final numbers. They made over $10,000 in this book sale, which is the highest they've ever done. They loved working in the ITMEC and taking over the space, and they scheduled the next one not until September of 2023, so it's going to be a bit. So we aren't competing with Hibbing. I have a lot of numbers that I gave at the State of the Library, so if you have any questions about that, I can definitely answer that. I actually came up here to talk about the reading program.
Please do.
So summer reading starts. End of school is Friday for some, next week for the others, so it's kind of a staggered end of the school year. So our theme this year is Read Beyond the Beaten Path. Officially, it starts June 6th and it ends August 12th. So look at our webpage, everything has started. We have different programs, so if you want to be challenged, we have a hard one. If you're looking for just something a little more easy, we've got that. There's all sorts of things in there. If you come pick up a booklet, it not only gives the library events, it also gives the city events, so all of the music events, the movies in the park. We will be at the farmers market. Our first one will be June 16th. Our first event, though, is actually June 3rd, so it's a week from Friday. We are finally getting some of our legacy programming again, and it's coming in person. We programmed a lot outside, and thank you to Brian and his crew. We will have a tent. So Takeo Arts Midwest Drumming is going to be there at 10:30 on Friday, June 3rd, and that is, you will get to drum, so if you want to learn how to do some drumming, please come. And then summer reading starts the following week. The big event The kickoff is actually FanCon, which will also be at the ITMEC, and that's from 11 to 6. There are multiple things happening that day, so check out our website, check Facebook, check Instagram, give us a call at the library. We'll be more than happy to answer any of those questions, but come in, pick up a booklet, join us. We'll have multiple prizes. If you come in costume to the ITMEC, you get put into a really cool drawing, so just, you know, you can come see all sorts of people. There'll be forging in the parking lot. We've got sword fighting. I think we have 11 vendors right now, so that is just a little bit of the information. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
I would just like to say, and I'm sure that Councilor Johnson will comment as well under council reports, but we did have the discussion about the presentation that you made at the annual meeting was just phenomenal. And it's really amazing what the Friends of the Library and what the library system and the synergies you have together, moving that forward and providing all those interactive events. It's not just a library, go and grab a book and read it. There's so many other things going for children and adults alike. And I did add an opportunity to ask you if you'd be willing to come to a committee of the whole meeting or a council meeting and to give us that presentation, which was about 20 minutes or so. And it was just, really, I think the general public needs to know, who do not know, really what the public library and what a great asset that is for us. So thank you, Jody.
Thank you, and I'd be more than happy to.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions for our library director? Okay, thank you, Jody, very much. Item 12, council reports. Does any council have a report they'd like to give today? Councilor Johnson?
Yes, to the Friends of the Library, it was a great meeting, and these folks have passions, and I think it's noteworthy that many of the members are not citizens of Virginia. They're people from the community at large. As I know a couple that's from Angora, so this is really a community effort to support the library. My other report is that Monday I had the privilege of hosting the Parkview second graders at City Hall. The mayor was able to pop in and say hi a couple times. We have some amazing future leaders in our school system at Rockridge, so just want to give a shout out to all of them. And I think their biggest excitement was to find out that we're building a new building over by the new event center, and they got to go home and tell their parents that. So it was a great opportunity on Monday, perfect day. They also went to Cane Lakes, the Sugar Shack, the public library, and the fire department all in 2 hours. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Johnson. Anybody else have anything? Okay, thank you. I just have one item I'd like to bring up, if I may. I did read an informational support for our law enforcement. It's Law Enforcement Week, started on May 15th. Law enforcement officers throughout the United States and communities, both national and local and state, have been honoring police officers and the sacrifices they made. This is Law Enforcement Week. There's a big event in Washington, D.C., where they stand guard at the Law Enforcement Memorial. It's just an amazing opportunity and an honor to be a part of that, which I was in the past, and it's humbling to see that. But, you know, the city council, all of us have given our passion about how we support our police officers, our fire and EMS, but this is Law Enforcement Week, Police Officer Week. And we ask that during the course of that week and at last Tuesday's meeting that if you see a police officer, thank them for their service. And, you know, if you have the means to do so, maybe buy them a cup of coffee or something and just in appreciation for what they do. And so I just want to make a shout out to that. There was an ad in the paper about the Hometown Focus, not an ad, but a statement in both news media outlets, and the city stands behind our law enforcement, which are the shepherds of our community that watches over the citizens and protects the citizens from the people who commit crimes and protect them for their safety. So we thank them for their service and their continued efforts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So thank you for that. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add before we adjourn this evening? Seeing none, we will adjourn our city council meeting to our next meeting, which is scheduled for Tuesday, June 14th at 5:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. Thank you, everybody. Be safe. Have a safe week. We stand adjourned.